In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 R packages that I use most often that are less well known. My name is Tom, I'm a data scientist in Australia, and let's dive right in. So I'm going to use a real data set to show these packages. I'll put a link in the description below, so you can download it by going to this link and scrolling down the page, and then for the second file listed here, you can move over to the download button and download the file using original file format, comma separated values. Now, I downloaded this file before making this video, so I'm going to move over to RStudio and we can dive into the packages. So the first step, I'm going to make a new R script and I'm going to load the tidyverse packages. These will let me work with data efficiently. So I'll load the tidyverse packages. I ran that using Command or Control Enter, but you can also run by highlighting and clicking the Run button up here. But Command or Control Enter is a lot faster. All right, so we're now going to use the vroom package to load the data into R. So what is vroom? Vroom is a package that loads data into R really fast. And it does that by indexing the data, but not loading it into memory until it actually has to access the data. So we can load the data by, first of all, loading vroom, and we run like that. If you don't have vroom installed, and you probably won't unless you've already installed it, you can do that by running this command, install packages vroom. And if you run that command, that will guide you through a process of installing the vroom package. But I've already installed it, so I'm going to comment this out, and we'll leave it up there. All right, so let's load vroom. All right, now we can use the vroom function to load data into R. Let's do that. So protest data, well, let's just call it protests to keep it short. And then we use vroom, and now we specify the path to the file. So in my system, I have put it in this folder. So I'm going to load it like that. Now you have to change depending on where you've put the file on your system. So let's load the protest data into R. So vroom has now loaded the file, and we can look at the file by running, oh well, okay. Let's glimpse it to get a bit more of an efficient view. Fantastic. All right, so that's the vroom function. Now vroom is really useful if you're working with a really big data set because it's much, much faster than equivalents like read CSV. Okay, so that's the first package, vroom, which helps you load data into R really fast. Now, I'll leave a comment up here, in fact, so we can remember where we are. So this is the vroom package. All right, so now the tidylog package. Now, the tidylog package is a package in R that lets you see what's going on when transformations happen to data. So we're going to load the tidylog package, again, by running library tidylog. And again, if you don't have tidylog installed, you can install it using a similar command, install tidylog, and so on. But in my case, it's already installed. I'm going to not keep going through how to install the packages, but it's the same format in each case. All right, so now that we've loaded tidylog, now let's try making a change to protest. So if we run, for example, let's just select the country, the start day, and the start month. You'll see that the tidylog package shows us exactly what has happened. It shows us, oh, okay, so we've dropped 28 variables or 28 columns and we've only kept 3. Or if we ran, let's say we ran a filter, so we filter for country is not equal to Canada. We can see that, oh, this filter removed 57 rows or less than 1% of the data set. So tidylog can be a really helpful way of getting a sense of what your transformations to data are doing. So that's the second package that I use most often. All right, now the janitor package. Now the janitor package basically is a way of cleaning up column names that are really messy. So in this case, we have pretty nice column names, but let's create a column name that's not as good. So let's create a column name that is a bit of a mess. So we'll call it, this is a country, and we'll assign that this value. So if we run that, we now have another column called this is a country, and we can select that column. Now you'll notice this is quite messy and difficult to work with. So now we have a column that looks like that, and it's kind of a bit tricky to keep typing this in. Well, the janitor package lets us clean up messy column names. It's kind of, in this case, the file came with pretty nice column names, but if it didn't, we could use the janitor package to clean them up, and we could do it like this. So janitor provides a function called clean names. And let's run that. And now we see that it's taken the original messy column name and it's changed it into something that's much easier to work with, making everything lowercase and adding underscores between words. And we don't need to use the backticks anymore. So that's the janitor package, and I often use the janitor package after loading a file into R if it has messy column names. All right, so we're halfway through. So just to remind you where we are, we've looked at the vroom package to load data into R fast. We've looked at the tidylog package, which lets us see what's happening as we mutate and change data. And we've seen the janitor package, which lets us clean the column names. So now we're going to look at the lubridate package. Now the lubridate package is a package that lets us work with dates and do that in a really clean way. So let's dive in and have a look and see what the lubridate package lets us do. So again, we're going to load the lubridate package, like so. And now let's have a look at our protests data again and look at some of the dates. All right, so I see we have the start day, we have the start month, and we have the start year. All right, so I'm going to simplify this data set a bit. I'm going to call it protests.simplified, and we're going to get the protest data. Now we're going to pull out just the country, the start date, and the start day, month, and year. So let's do that. Select the country, the start day, start month, and start year. Okay, so now let's look at that. Okay, so we now have a table that looks like this. We're going to have country, the start day, start month, start year. Okay, so now we want to turn this into a nice date format that we can plot easily in R. So the way we can do that is, first of all, let's take each of these columns and create a new column that has this in a standard date format. So let's do a mutate to add a new column, and then we can do the start date, and then we'll use string C for concatenate, which joins together the different columns. So start day, in fact, let's do it the other way around. So start year, then a dash, start month, then a dash, and then start day. Okay, let's run that. So now you'll see that it's actually created a new column called start date, which has the year, the month, and the day. Okay, now the trouble is that this is still in a string format. It's not a date. So let's suppose we wanted to count the number of protests on a particular date and then plot it in R. So in fact, let's count by country as well. Okay, so we're able to do that, but we can't plot this because it's still in a string format. So what we need to do is use the lubridate package to change this to a date format. So we can use the lubridate, in this case, the year, month, day, because our date is in the year, month, day format. And that will convert our column to a date format. So lubridate has a lot of really useful functions for working with dates. If we had done it differently, so if we'd had day, month, and then year, we could use year, month, day, month, year to convert the dates as well. Okay, so that's the fourth package, the lubridate package, which lets us work with dates. The next one I want to show you is the glue package, Now, the glue package lets us work with strings and join strings together really neatly. So let's come back to this thing we did here where we joined together and created a new column. We can do that more simply using the glue package. So let's load the glue package. And now we'll take this code and we'll copy it again. And we're going to look at using the glue package to join together these strings in a neater way. So we can use start year, then dash start month, and then dash start day. And this lets us put our variables inside these curly braces. So let's run like that and run that command. And you'll see that it's done the same thing, joining them together. So this is a much easier way to see what's going on inside our strings. And again, we can run the transformation we did before with lubridate. And it's been converted to a date format. Okay, why does it say it's failed to pass? That's odd. I think we may need to convert it to a string first. Let me try that, and that will remove that warning. Oh, what am I doing here? This is odd. Okay, let's filter to see which of these are not converted. Okay, I'm not 100% sure what's going on there actually. I think this may just be a warning inside glue, the lubridate package, but we'll have to look into that later. All right, so now this happens occasionally with packages. Now let's look at the tsibble package, So the tsibble package is a package in R that lets us work with time series data. So let's load the tsibble package into R. Okay, so I want to come back and look at, we want to get a count of, let's say we want to get a count of protests per month. Well, tsibble lets us do that very effectively. So let's, again, do this, conversion up here. In fact, we'll save the result this time. So now we have our protests that are simplified. So now the next step here is we want to, again, we'll convert it using the lubridate. Okay. Now we want to get a count of protests per month. So to do this, we can use a function. We can get start month. We'll create a new column called start month, and we'll use the tsibble year month function to convert start date to a year month. Fantastic. And so now we can count start month, and we get a count of the number of protests in each month. And we can plot that using ggplot. So we specify the x-axis is start month, the y-axis is the count, and we'll do a line plot. And we now get, okay, I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on there. Why do we have, let's just check again and see what's going on. I think that is because I think I may understand why this is happening. From memory, it's because some of the rows actually didn't have start year, month, and day in the first place. All right, to get around this, we're just going to filter out any cases where the start month is not present, and we'll plot that. Fantastic. So now we have a count of mass mobilization or protest events on a monthly basis. So lubridate, the tsibble package lets us do a number of really interesting things. It would also let us look for fill gaps in the data. If we know that some months don't have data, we can replace those with nulls. And tsibble provides a lot of really other useful functions as well. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do a more detailed tutorial on tsibble. All right, so now we're going to come to the final package that I use very frequently in R. And just to recap where we've been, so we've looked at the vroom package to load data rapidly, the tidylog package to see how to mutate data, to see the changes that are happening, the janitor package, which lets us clean column names, the lubridate package, which lets us work with dates, the glue package that lets us join strings together really well, the tsibble package, which lets us work with time series data, and now finally we'll come to the tidytext package. Okay, so again, let's load the tidytext package. Just to remind you, if you don't have the tidytext package installed, you can run a command like this, but just put tidytext instead of vroom. All right, so the tidytext package, what does the tidytext package do? Well, it lets us take text data and pull it apart so that we can see individual words and we can do word counts. So let's go back to our protest data. And I noticed that notes here is a string. So let's just select, in fact, we'll select, let's just select notes. So notes is a free text string. Now, the problem is that this is kind of hard to work with as it stands in R because everything's joined together in the same string. But using tidytext, the unnest tokens function, let's just use unnest tokens, that will let us pull out these words into individual words. So let's do the output equals, we'll call it word. The input is from notes. In fact, let's keep the protest ID 2. So we're going to take, this will be our initial data set. We're going to unnest the tokens. Let's do that. Okay. Wow. What just happened here? All right, let's start a new session. Let's see what happened. Okay, I'm just going to load our data again. 1 sec. So we'll go back. We'll use vroom. We'll load the data. Go back down again. So let's recover. Load tidytext again. Okay, and let's see what happened here. Oh, we need to load the tidyverse again. Sorry about that. All right, that actually worked this time. I'm not sure why that crashed. That's a bit awkward. But now what you'll see is that for each protest, we've broken down the words, and now we can actually do counts of individual words. So, for example, we can run like this. Let's count word and then sort equals true. Oh my goodness, this is embarrassing. 1 sec. What I'll do is I'll save the results. So we'll load our packages again. We'll load tidytext again. And now we're going to save the protest words. We'll save that. Oh, we're going to load our protest data. Okay, all right, we're back to where we started. All right, so now we've got protest words. Now we're going to count the word. Okay, that worked this time. So now we're going to sort. Fantastic. So now we can see the words that occur most frequently. Now, a lot of these words like the, of, to, in, and so on, they're not that interesting. But for example, if we'll get rid of the words that appear most frequently, like the kind of the, of, and to, these are called stop words, and we can just do an anti-join. Anti-join is a function in R that removes any match that's found in this table. So anti-join the stop words by word, and now we'll count. And now this is much more interesting. So now we notice the top themes tend to be police, protest, government, people, protesters, president, capital, thousands, students, and so on. So the tidytext package is a really useful package for doing text analysis with R. I'm sorry about some of those interruptions there. I'm not quite sure what happened. I'll have to look into that. But if you'd like me to do some further work diving into the tidytext package, let me know in the comments below. And I hope these 7 packages will be helpful to you as well. So if you found this helpful, please please consider subscribing for future content like this. And finally, please let me know in the comments below what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. Take care.